Hello everybody and welcome to the playthrough for Rookie Division of the Holiday Hills Tournament. This is a playthrough with random wind, which will not display the wind that we're going to have in the tournament, but a way for you to get your practice in, get familiar with the courses, and also getting the information needed before the start. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Before we roll with the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell button. We are growing like crazy, which is absolutely insanely fun, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Also, visit golfclashtommy.com. There you can find more content about the Holiday Hills tournament, but also content for basically whatever, not basically, but for whatever tour you're playing, and also Golden Shot, everything is there. Last but not least, subscribe to patreon.com/golfclashtommy to get the text guide for the Holiday Hills tournament, but also the updated text guides for the Holiday Hills tournament when the tournament starts. On the right hand side you will see an info box for every hole, and that's going to be with the elevation adjustment for the drive and also for the second shot. If it's a par 3, you will only see for one shot, because I hope that you're only gonna play one shot before you get to green. Underneath that you will see what type of ball that I will suggest for you, and I always have a thought with that, and I think it's always very valuable to put ourselves in the position that we want to use the best ball possible for the situation, but we also want to use the best possible ball without having to spend a ton, you know, on special balls and stuff like that. I never use special balls in Rookie, and the most that I'm using is a Titan. The club underneath there is the club that I think is going to be a key club for that specific hole that could help you maybe getting an advantage over your opponent. So let's go with the video, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. For hole number 1, we are going to use an elevation of 15%, and every time we are adding, it means that the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. So 15% extra, we're going to play with a wood club, which is going to be either Sniper or Viper. And I want us to play with a Marlin ball here, or with a basic ball, preferably a Marlin ball due to its slight more wind resistance than a basic ball. But I do not think there is any necessity to use a power 2, power 3, power 1 ball. Save those to other occasions, which would be better. I use a Titan here in this example. It's because we went into the shootout with this ball. We're going to play with a power 0 ball for medium distance of our club, and in the end, if you're going to use another ball with more power, you might going to play it closer to minimum distance of your club instead. So this was hole number 1. Decent chance for an hole in 1, but I would say it's going to be a very safe birdie. For hole number 2 here in the Holiday Hills tournament, we will be playing on the left hand side, and that is because we will then have a much easier time get ourselves to green than if we would be playing on the right hand side. First, we choose what ball we're going to play with, and we're going to play with a Titan ball. Not just because it's a par 5, but the biggest reason is because otherwise we will be having a tougher shot for the second shot, especially if we would be having a crosswind or a headwind. With a tailwind, I would say that we should be fine with the Viper or with the Sniper, but just in case, use the big dog even though in a lower level, so you do get the distance for the pin. Max side spin left, and in headwind here I'm using half a bar to 1 bar of topspin. 10% over adjustment means that the ball is going to be affected slightly more by the wind than normal, and therefore we need to add to our adjustment. Get our ball over there on the fairway, and obviously looking at the course, the drive to the left looks way more trickier than the drive to the right, and that is absolutely correct. But look at the view here now. Look what we do have in our face if we would be playing on the right hand side. We have rocks, we have water, we have rough. So we have basically no way attacking the pin directly, and a very thin line to go towards the green, which would require a club with a lot of distance, a lot of curl, and also some overpower for the second shot if we choose the right hand side as our opponent. So my tip is here, choose the left hand side, a bit trickier drive but a much easier second shot. We need to play the course, we need to play it smart. and it could fool you big time if you lay up here easily on the right hand side, but then you cannot reach, or it's going to be too tough to reach for from this distance, and you will put yourself in the rough, and then you will danger even getting the eagle. Here you have the thing that I talked about in the beginning. Choose the big dog, give yourself the distance needed for the second shot. We cannot play with the Viper or the Sniper, or like we can, but we do not want to, because we don't want to overpower. We want to use the big dog, give ourselves the distance, just a normal shot, and then we're gonna be on green. Tough one though to get an albatross on, because we have a very bad ball guideline in with whatever club that we're playing with, especially if we're playing with lower level clubs. So nothing extra for elevation here, and here you have hole number 2. Tough par 5 in rookie, but it's definitely way manageable to getting an eagle. For hole number 3, we're going to use an elevation, which is going to be 10% extra, which means that we play downhill and the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. Choose an extra mile here, or another driver that gives you at least 4 bars topspin, because if we're using a quarterback in a lower level and only have a less, like 3 bars topspin, the ball will not bounce into the rough and roll out. It will die short. Marlin ball to keep us not being in between clubs. Marlin or a basic ball is going to be my choice here. And once again, extra mile is a perfect club here, which you can use even in a level 1. Bounce on the fairway, into the rough, roll out to the green. This is an absolute must eagle if you're gonna have something to do with winning this tournament. So for hole number 4, we are going to use an elevation adjustment that is 10%. And once again, when we add, it means that we do have a ball that is affected slightly more by the wind. Quasar ball, because I want us to have the side spin, and we're gonna play with 4.5 bar side spin to the left. At least that was the plan from the start. But then we're changing again, looking at different position, and we change again, and now we're playing with 3 bars of backspin here, and we're going to just bounce ourselves nicely towards the pin. I would normally go with 1 to 3 bars side spin to the left here, but having the wind right to left will help us push our ball to the pin here. And I choose the right hand side for a more consistent way to 100% get the birdie, but a good chance for an hole-in-one. For hole number 5, we're going to start with the drive, and you can see that I'm looking around the course here, trying to find the best way to play. And sure, I'm playing here with a Titan ball as a start, thinking, will I be able to clear the rough on the right hand side? Because if you can clear the rough by the first, after the first bounce, then you're going to be in a much better position than we're gonna be if we're gonna play in any other direction. But it's most likely gonna require some superior clubs in terms of, with distance and topspin. 1 to 3 bars topspin, a little side spin to the right, and with a 10% over adjustment, yes, the drive is downhill, so the ball is gonna be affected more. Getting it over the rough, going to leave us up for a long iron towards the pin, and this long iron isn't easy. So we need to make sure that we are playing with a club that at least gives us a decent amount of backspin. And now I'm looking for a club that has at least minimum 4 bars of backspin, so we're not going to have a problem. Sure, now we came a little bit short with our drive, but in the end, the backspin here help us to have control. The hard part with this course here is the fact that we do have a very slopey green. It slopes right, left, and center, and it's going to be very, very tough to get this one in a consistent way. The second shot you play without any elevation, you play just for the green, take your birdie, and go to hole number 6. For hole number 6, we're going to start with the drive. Max side spin to the right and 4.5 bar topspin. Here, if you do have a kingmaker, I would see that one as a viable option, but a Titan ball as minimum. The reason I don't want us to change to a katana, as I do in the video, it's because it only have power 2. The beauty with the katana though is that it has side spin 3, so it's a little bit like, yeah, will you make, if you can tell me, okay Tommy, I can make this drive consistently in a decent distance, I will not struggle, then sure, a katana will be fine. But if you want to save and make sure that you do have the distance even with a bit worse drive, then make sure you play with a Titan minimum. Half a ball of curl and 20% over adjustment. Very, very important with the 20%, as that is how much extra the ball is going to be affected by the wind for the drive. Second shot, I'm using a tiny bit of backspin. I would consider here to go and stay away from using backspin to just make sure we get over the rough without clipping the rough. Max side spin to the right, no elevation for the second shot. We just play that one as it is, and to just get back to that we don't want to clip the rough. If you clip the rough and roll short and have a wedge towards the pin, that's going to be one of the tougher wedges that you can have in this game. So make sure that you get over. You can use a bar of topspin as well to make sure that you're on the safe side, because the whole green slopes left to right and gonna take yourself to the pin for a nice and easy eagle putt. For hole number 7, we're going to start by mentioning that we're going to play with an elevation adjustment that is 20%. So we do need to add because the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. Second, the ball. We have Quasar, Katana and Marlin as suggestions, and it all depends on what type of wind we're going to have. We have a wind that's coming southwest, which is going to give us, a push more to the left. And therefore we're going to play on the fairway pad that you have on the right hand side. This because we do want to stay away from adjusting from a higher point to a lower point. Because what happens when you adjust from a higher point to a lower point? Yes, you lose distance. So instead of having to, adjust into the sand or into the water and have to push up your ball close or like target closer towards the pin, to compensate for the loss of distance, which is very hard to be accurate with, then I'm choosing side depending on what type of wind we're going to have or like what direction the wind is blowing. Right hand side using a Marlin ball, which is totally fine with this type of wind. But if you want to stay away from adjusting so close to the water, use a ball with more side spin so you can move your target more towards the center of the fairway and don't have to go with that close, because you obviously with a great left here could be danger, but I wanted to show that it is possible with a Marlin ball. Playing from the left hand side, I would suggest the Katana ball to give yourself side spin 3, because you will be needing more side spin on the playing from the left up towards the pin than playing from the right. And this is a very tough par 3. It's going to be some pars on this very tough course. For hole number 8, we are either going to go for green or we are going to lay up on the left. Our opponent's going to play on the right hand side, but playing with a basic ball will not be getting you to the green. So we need to be smart here. We need to play the wind, we need to play with the clubs that we are having and the ball. So I would say like this: play on the right hand side, then you go for green. And then you play with the big topper in no matter what level you're having and a Titan ball. Obviously you can play with an extra mile, you can play with a Thor's hammer, Apocalypse. So basically whatever other driver that you might have. The only thing that could be beneficial for you to play with a big topper is the topspin. That's why I do think the big topper is definitely going to be the option playing on the right hand side. Do not forget to over adjust the 15%, as the ball is going to be affected more by the wind playing this drive, no matter where you're playing basically. So just to finish the thoughts about the drive towards the green, the thing that you do want to do: bounce on the fairway over the bunker and the sand, bunker and the water, then into the rough, roll out to the green. Obviously there is a risk to get stuck in the rough there, but at the same time then we will have a very good chance from the rough, and I would rather pick that than the opportunity that we will have here from distance playing on the left hand side. So when we do have a situation where we might not have the club, we might not feel comfortable with playing an aggressive drive trying to go for green. Then we lay up just nice and safe on the left hand side using a ball with a power 0. Marlin or a basic ball is totally fine, using also 15% over adjustment, because once again, downhill, it doesn't change what direction you're playing, it's still going to be affected more by the wind than normal. Bounce over the rough using 2 bars of topspin and just get prepared for the second shot. Our opponent did lay up here on the right hand side, and the problem you will get by lay up here on the right hand side is because you're most likely not going to have the backspin with your short iron. So you need to make sure that if you're going to lay up, you do it left hand side, so you do have more room for your approach towards the pin, and not doing it right hand side. Right hand side only if you're going to try to go for green. And as this is an older version of this hole, as we haven't been playing this one in a tournament in a very long time, I do think it's definitely worth to see what type of wind we're going to have before we decide what way we're gonna go with. And obviously, when the tournament starts, if the wind is in our favor, I'm definitely going to go for green. Second shot, we adjust for the pin using a 15% over adjustment. Once again, the ball is going to be affected more by the wind, and do your best get it in the hole. So I would take the right hand side, try to go for green, but it's your decision because it's you that do risk and could get the reward. Thank you so much. Hole number 8, let's go hole number 9. So, for hole number 9, the final hole in this playthrough, we are going to play a par 5. And here, I would say the left-hand side is going to be the only option for us. Sure, we can make a much safer drive over to the right-hand side, but the way of getting that ball to green for the second shot is going to be extremely tough, and it's going to require both luck and it's going to require a lot of skill to bounce over the water on that bumpy fairway that we have close to it on the top right. So we play left hand side using a power 3 ball. It's not our turn yet, so that's why you see our opponent play with a basic ball. But we do need to make sure that we get this ball to fairway. If you do miss the fairway getting into the rough, you will have no chance whatsoever to reach for the green in 2. So our turn. Power 3 ball is what we're going to change to eventually. 10% over adjustment, and every time we over adjust, the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. So Titan ball, use max topspin, and I'm also using side spin to the right because I want to stay close to the rough on the right hand side, so the shot is going to be easier. For the second shot, it's going to be easier. The thing that we do make a mistake is, like, now we're going to adjust. We adjust for maximum distance plus 10%, but we forget to push up to max. We do need to push up to max because we do need to gain as much distance as possible without obviously rolling into the rough on the top. But you're gonna see now when it's our opponent's turn how far we are away from the top rough. We could easily, with just pushing up our target, getting 10 to 15 yards more, which should make a big difference when we're approaching the pin for the second shot. You can also use a little overpower with your drive. If you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, use a little overpower with your drive, and then you're going to get yourself in a nice position for the second shot. I choose to suggest the big dog in the info box on the right hand side here to just make sure that we do have the distance if we do mess up our drive. You know, we could maybe clip the rough and we have a big problem getting to the green in 2 if we are not having the distance with the big dog. So now I'm using a Viper, making an overpowered shot, which always going to be risky, but it's not the decision of choosing the Viper or the big dog here that makes us coming in a spot like this. It's the way of making a bad drive. If we would be getting and making the drive in a good way, we would definitely be able to reach with the Viper and the Sniper. But as a safety net, I have the big dog suggested, but it's all about how you feel about the drive. If you feel comfortable about the drive, then continue play with the Viper or the Sniper for a better accuracy, better ball guideline, and better chance for an albatross. No elevation for the second shot whatsoever. So, here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the playthrough for the Holiday Hills tournament. Have in mind that this is not the wind that we're going to play with in the tournament. So this is with random wind and some recordings to display and show you how to approach these holes in this tournament. And I do think we are up for an interesting tournament because the Nordic Fjords are not easy courses. And it's going to require a lot of elevation adjustment, it's going to require a lot of focus, a lot of skill to get some drops. But in the end, we do have 2 par 4s of the green of point where we can go for green. So, and that is obviously going to get the scores to be a bit low. So I do think we need to get whole number need to think. One of the green point, one of the first par 4s combined with hole number 8. The two green point shootouts were par 4s where we can go for green. I do think the par score is going to be minus 14 based on that, because those two are going to be a must in my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and subscribe to patreon.com/golfclashtommy for the updated text guides, so you do get the best preparation possible and best guides possible on the market. Thank you so much everybody, and good luck in the Holiday Hills tournament.